Okay, so while I'm waiting for the dashboard, a few of the fiberglass bits and also the air suspension, obviously those are going to kind of dictate how the body sits on the chassis. So killing time, but stuff that's got to be done anyway. So working out all the duct work for the HVAC. So this one fires up into the dash top for the windscreen demisters. So obviously I've chopped that down. I think I'll just use something round and hot, melt some holes in there, and then just have some standard round ductwork coming off that into the top of the dash, one on either side. There are footwell ducts that I've already fitted, sort of down there. And then these ones for the sort of face blowers in the dash. So in the Tesla, they just fire through some slots. And buried, so you see one mechanism there. So that operates the sort of side-to-side flaps. And then somehow with this one, this controls an uplift of air. So that deflects that horizontal air up and down through various ducts inside the dashboard. So obviously I'm not going to bother with that. So I'll blank off that upward draft bit. That leaves working out how to get these ones into the dashboard. So the spoiler, I've done it for one side already, but the flaps normally sit in there, go up in here, and then it gets pointed either side. So this is going in the bin, but I measured and drew up in CAD the top side there, and now that's what I've ended up with. So you can see all the little flaps that direct the air. This motorized assembly here just literally clips on. This will bolt on to the back of the dash, probably around there on either side. I say that's one of the things I need to sort out. Obviously the roll bar will probably get in the way, the cross beam, all sorts. The actual dash position. So that'll be there on either side, so that's sorted. And then for these, what have I done now? Yeah, I'll have to chop. Oop, there we go. So that's where it fits into the HVAC block in the middle. So I guess I will chop it around here, probably use some heat and reshape it to round, and then just have some round ductwork between each bit. So then I'll just have a bit of round tube or flexi between around here and here, whatever. So that's the plan for that. Another job I've been looking at, well, I was thinking about and then just realised it's going to be a pain. So the wiper mechanism, and obviously with the Tesla monitoring everything, it'll probably like to see the proper motor. So it's about 48mm too narrow between the spindles. Then, don't know if you can see there, but they're not actually on the same sort of plane. So I'm going to have to put a kink in the whole lot. So I'll chop, probably end up chopping that whole piece out and making a new one to pull this one back and further out by, yeah, like I said, what was it, a couple of inches. So you can see that offset is quite a lot. It's probably a similar amount, another 40-50mm. And then obviously I'll have to extend. I think these will probably end up being fine, straight, or maybe a bit of a kink in them, but shouldn't be too bad. The only thing I think I need to worry about is keeping these at the same angle. another job. Okay, not so pretty yet. I'm just going to tack it up and try the principle. But I cut the assembly in half, all the links, drilled a couple of holes in this bit of scrap angle I had to set the spindle distance that I want in the body, and then made sure all the angles were consistent between the two ends and welded it together. So I'll connect it up to the car, make sure it's happy. My main concern actually is probably the height of there, because it's going to be that way up. Obviously that's going to go through the body, but I'm hoping the angle is going to save me. But if you look here, so that one will go through that hole, and it is laid back quite a lot, so hopefully it'll sort of end up down here somewhere, out of the way and under the dashboard, most importantly. I'm also going to have to figure out a way of sealing it as it goes through the holes in the body. I'm sure I'll find some grommets of some description, but I do want to make sure that doesn't leak. Okay, body's up again. I finally cut this rear panel out, which was a bit bent. I think that was the main reason the car was written off, actually. And then I've sort of pounded the sides down and more or less flat. And this one was a bit bent. Ultimately, I'm going to be extending this a fair bit, I think, as I've said before. But the on-air has a sort of an integrated compressor and reservoir with all the electronics. People normally fit it there, so I'm just getting the space ready. And also I'll have a think, see if I can fit that and a spare wheel in the back. I prefer to have a full-size spare if I can. What else I've been doing? I bought some more sheet steel, so I'm going to finally get rid of this wood on either side. Just some, there you go, some chunky angle. So that will go in place there. I'll weld a load of captive nuts in it. So the body, at least initially, that's where the body will mount. And then the sill will bolt and sort of sandwich the top bit of body in there. And then I'll have the trim going over. But my concept is to have it, obviously that will sit around there, and I'm going to weld some tube coming off the A and B pillar. I'll probably have to bolt it on there because it's aluminium, and then this will actually just sit on the tube, and then I'll have a few fixings going into captive nuts on the side. Then that'll at least have the sill fairly strong. I've also bought some more steel, so I've got some 25 by 75 box. So I'm gonna notch, in fact I think I'm gonna mount it to this sort of plane, so from there all the way to the front. But I do want the body in its final position because I want it to sit right underneath the door sill, effectively, extra support. But I need to obviously make sure that the door catch is going to fit okay. It's going to go like that, isn't it? I'm going to have to make new strikers to go in from the top. Obviously they'll go from the bottom of the door, and they'll be that way around. So this is the driver's one. I think I'm going to switch them round, so this will become the passenger one, and I'll try and put that manual release somewhere handy. Yeah, you can see it's actually quite deep, so that will obviously be mounted up here, and then the strengthening beam. So I do need to bring it in a fair bit, but I'm thinking this line is where I'm going to panel it in and make it sort of solid, and just sort of thinking ahead how I'm going to seal the chassis to the body. So I'll obviously cap that. Still work in progress, but I'm thinking maybe a nice way would be to get the body in position, tin foil line the bottom of the body, and then use some spray foam to kind of create a form, and then fiberglass over the top of that, and then I'll have a nice really snug fitting section. But yeah, I'm still umming and erring whether I want to have the body removable or not. I think it'd be nice. What else? Oh yeah, I'm working on the crash bar. So the way the body comes down, obviously that's going straight to there, hence I've taken the front radiator duct off. So these are going to have to go in afterwards, so their total length can only be, written down there, 120 mil. Oh, I thought it was 140. Oh. So yeah, so and obviously the crash bar is going to be chopped down as well, and also height wise because of where it sits, sort of quite high up here, and obviously I need space for the radiator, but that'll be a nice mounting point for the radiator front as well. So I'm cutting down these crush cans. The fixing that goes through the main crash bar down through the bottom had some steel inserts, so these are rib nuts I'm fitting. This is a bit of a trick if you hadn't seen it before. So I can't get my rib nut tool into place, but if you obviously push the rib nut through, then clamp a bit of steel on the top of the piece and just screw in, and does the same job as you can see. Alright, so the crush can's in. Unexpected problem though, I didn't even think to check. These aren't parallel. So where I've put the holes in the crush can and the rivsets, they're wrong. So they actually point outwards on each side. So if yeah, they're about a hole out. So I'll either have to modify the crush cans or modify the bar, but I'm not sure how the inserts are held, so that'll be a real pain. Right, annoyingly I've misplaced one of the bolts, and it just needs a bit of cleaning up, but the inserts were just held in by little pressed dimples, so I slid the inserts along and re-drilled the holes. Much happier. It's looking a bit more like a structure now, although I am going to have to chop the top out probably by half, and also double check how much space I'm going to have behind the grill. But yeah, should do the job. Okay, that's the sill steels in place. So I've used M8 countersunk. They'll need a bit more countersinking, but if they look a bit wobbly, they are, because I've used the original markings in the mould. It was quite... And then what I'm thinking is have some box that comes out from the body. This will sit on, and it will have captive nuts inside the box horizontally like that, and I'll just bolt in at either end, probably in the middle by the B-pillar as well. I should stiffen it up for the moment anyway. Okay, just a quick trial fit of the wiper while the chassis is out of the way. Basically this recess is going to be in the way. This is normally the standard HVAC inlet, and it's got various chrome sort of slats going across. I think I might fill it or do a very low profile fake one. Still undecided, but as you can see, yeah, so that's the wiping mechanism as I've modified. I did plug it into the car, it all works fine. So this mount is going to have to be cut and rotated around here. That one's okay. That one I can work with at the bottom. There. But saying this cross member bit touches. I probably could modify it, but that would mean getting into this casting and chopping all that out. Maybe I'll have a think about it. But I'm also not sure if I need to modify this to get more throw, because get a better view of the screen. They're kind of symmetrically mounted. So if you're parking here, I don't know, I'm gonna have to get a measuring stick out and see what the sort of sweep is. Obviously I want to maximize it. Yeah, it's just a job for later on, I think.